always smile. Are you kidding me?
Oh, a happy person.
If I could have your attention here in the deadline room, we'll continue on with today's Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series media availability. We are joined by Joey Logano, driver of the number 22 Shell Pennzoil Ford for Team Penske. Joey, last time we were here at Phoenix International Raceway, you came out with a victory, big victory in your collection. Can you talk about that experience and the positive feelings you felt coming out of that?
Yeah, of course. Winning here, the amount of pressure that was on that weekend and how important it was for us to try to race for the championship and the next week in Miami meant so much to be able to do that. And as close as it was, and I was rewatching the race in the flight out here yesterday, and my hands were sweating, and I knew the outcome, what was going to happen, and I was still at the edge of my seat. If it wasn't for the seatbelt in the airplane, I was going to be getting up. But it was definitely a big win for me, maybe quite possibly the biggest win of my career. And that's a big deal when you compare it to the Daytona 500 and how big of a deal it was to win that day and be able to move on. Quite the feeling for sure.
Okay, we'll open up the floor for questions. If you have a question, raise your hand. We'll get a wireless mic to you. We'll start with Claire, go to Jeff, and then to Bob, and then to Ryan.
Claire B. Lang, Sirius XM NASCAR Radio. Joey, what have your thoughts been leading into the meeting with NASCAR today? And what, if anything, will change as a result of the meeting? And how will you race Kyle Busch now?
Well, I think it's, as far as, leading into it, my plan was just to go in there and be honest. That's the best way I know how to handle situations, is to be myself and be honest about the situation. And, I told him that, hey, we obviously made contact down the back straightaway. I had a not very good entry. I had to slow down the car a lot to be able to stay on the bottom, and I tried to make up some of that speed at the bottom of the racetrack, and then I got loose. And then once you get loose once, then I was on his door, and you get loose again. And at that point, that was it. So that's my mistake. I tried to stay on the bottom. My car didn't stay there. It could be 6 or 7 different reasons why that happened. But the fact of the matter is I tried to stay on the bottom. I made a mistake. I got up into him. I hate it happened. I'd take it back in a heartbeat. I was able to. He asked for data when we talked on the phone, and I was able to bring that with me and be able to present that and try to explain what was going on inside my race car, and we were able to move on from there.
How will you race him moving forward? And what did NASCAR tell you?
Yeah, I think we're going to race this the same as we always have. We've never had an issue. You think about it, we've been racing each other for 9 years, and you think about the amount of Xfinity races and Cup races that is, because we both run a lot of races together. And not only running them, but we've raced each other for first and second a lot, and we've never had an issue. I look at Kyle as probably one of the drivers I had the best relationship with. So I'm sure it's going to get back to that point. Obviously there's going to be it's going to take a little bit of time, I believe, that's just part of it. But, like I said, we've never had an issue. It wasn't anything intentional, so we're going to be able to push through this, I believe.
Did NASCAR tell you anything? Did they tell you?
NASCAR just wanted to make sure that they're kind of the median, I guess, between the two, just to make sure that we talked in person, which is good. It's a great play by NASCAR to, I took it under my own will to call him and talk to him beforehand, but also when you talk in person, you guys all know how that's different. You can do a phone interview or do a face-to-face interview. A lot of times your story becomes completely different when you're able to see facial reactions. And, so to be able to talk to him face-to-face, I believe that helped.
Go next to Jeff, then to Bob, and then to Ryan.
Jeff Gluck from jeffgluck.com. Joey, did you feel like you're getting through to Kyle at all? I mean, because you talked to him on the phone, you present him this data. Is he just sort of like giving you no reaction, like not buying it kind of thing?
Time will tell. It's, I guess your actions on the racetrack is what, I guess, speak the loudest a lot of times. So I believe so. I tried to, like I said, I tried to be as open and honest and be an open book, and there's no secrets, and, so hopefully that helped.
Bob?
Chris, ESPN. How big a mistake did you make? I think there's a kind of a code like, well, if I wrong somebody, then they kind of owe me one. Do you have that feeling after this?
No, I don't. I mean, it's a mistake. We all make them, right? We all every day we make plenty of mistakes, you know, when we learn from them and we move on. You know, mistakes sometimes aren't a bad thing. This one, not so good. But you know, hopefully we can, like I said, move on from that. But we all do. You know, I've made mistakes on the racetrack. I've made probably more mistakes off the racetrack. You know, it's part of life. It's part of growing. You know, and was it a big mistake? Not to start, but then obviously had a big reaction, you know, to a small little wiggle, and then obviously it grew to something bigger.
So you think it was like a crazy move to?
Do I think that? No, I don't. I don't. You know, it's hard racing the last lap. You know, we're racing to the checkered flag. You know, I have no reason to do anything on purpose, that's for sure. For fourth place or whatever, that would make no sense. So, you know, for me, it was just we're racing hard for that position, and you know, the car got loose.
Go next to Ryan, then to Wolfgang, then to Jerry.
Joey, Ryan O'Hara, Race Chaser Online and the Performance Motorsports Network. My question for you is, in regards to your series of incidents with Matt Kenseth, what did you learn from that experience, and how are you going to apply that to this one?
It's a great question. You know, I learn from everything. You know, this is every event is always a learning opportunity. You know, I feel like the way I handle that situation, you can ask Matt the same question. I didn't handle it the greatest. I was able to learn a lot from that. And basically, the biggest thing is over-communicate. You know, communication is key. You know, whether it's what the person wants to hear or not, at least just putting your thoughts out there. I don't think any harm can come from that. And it just kind of opens the communication waves.
Go next to Wolfgang, then to Jerry, and then to Chris.
Joey, I think earlier, before the season kicked off in Daytona, you had a test here in Phoenix. How was the test? And in principle, when you work out the setup, can you roll out the car with identical setup, or you have to go again through a procedure to set up the car for qualifying and race?
You get closer, right? I mean, we were out here for a couple days testing, and you know, it's nice. It's really nice to have that and be able to work on your cars. You don't get many of them there in a year, so you got to take advantage of that. You know, I thought today we were able to unload with a you know, pretty quick car in race trim, and that's because we were able to test a lot and be able to try some things. And you know, a lot of times you can't take what you learn at a test, you know, for gospel. Basically, it's definitely when you come back, the track changes a lot. Obviously, it's really hot. The rubber, it's going to be a lot more rubber on the racetrack, so you can't completely commit to what you learn there. But you know, it definitely gives you a lot of direction and some items that you can have data on your car. Obviously, that you can collect a lot of data on certain items.
Go next to Jerry, and then to Chris.
Jerry Jordan, KickingTheTires.net, Performance Racing Network. Kyle was in here, Kyle Larson was in here earlier, and he said that drivers may not know exactly where they stand as to what they can get away with regarding post-race incidences. Are you clear what NASCAR will accept and what they won't accept as far as the passion that you guys exhibit off the track or on the track?
I believe it's pretty clear. You know, when what we saw last year, or 2 years ago, sorry, you know, I think we saw where the line was drawn. So we know that. You know, that seems like we've learned something, and it seems pretty clear.
Fighting, you guys can come to blows, you can get in a shoving match, that's okay.
Oh, as far as that stuff? Oh, I don't know. I'm not looking for fights.
Chris?
catchfans.com. Joey, there was a picture that showed up on line that you and Kyle were chatting during driver intros on Saturday for the Xfinity race, and then Sunday we all saw what happened. Were you expecting him to come and talk to you guys since you guys had such a good relationship prior, or were you caught off guard that he just come and attempted to throw a punch at you?
Yeah, I was a little surprised by that, obviously. You know, I was expecting him to be frustrated about the situation because, I mean, let's face it, he got the bad end of the deal. You know, so I expected some, you know, animosity, I guess, and to be able to, you know, he's going to come over and express his side, and I was going to try to take that opportunity to explain the same story that I just told you guys. Obviously, that time we were, you know, the situation was too heated to get to that point, and you know, I tried to wait a day or two and try to, you know, reach out and tell my story then, you know, and instead. So, yeah, I guess a little bit of a surprise, but understandable.
Go next, back left to John.
Hi, John Harflin with PopularSpeed.com. Joey, after the race at Las Vegas, I hadn't realized it at first, but it looked like Kyle Busch made contact with you as you guys were entering 3. And then when you got into him, do you think his first reaction was that you did it as like retaliation, or what's your thought on that?
That's a good question for him.
Okay.
I don't know. I drive the 22. He drives the 18. And I don't know what's going on in his head, and he doesn't know what's going on in mine. So, ask me questions about what's going on at the 22 car. I can answer those.
We're going to come up right here. Lee.
Lee Spencer, Motorsport.com. I don't think anybody can never question the fact that you're up on the wheel, but can you ever imagine a time where you wouldn't be giving it your all, and if that day comes, is that the day you pretty much get out of the race car?
Oh, of course, yeah. Shoot, I'm an aggressive race car driver. I race to win. I feel like that's kind of what my job is. I feel like that's what Roger Penske hired me to do, is to go out there and win races, and if not, get every position you possibly can and get the best finish that day. And that's what my job is, and so I just try to be the best at my job.
Go next to Reed.
Reed Spencer with NASCAR Wire Service. If you had a do-over on that last lap, what would you do, or what could you do differently?
I wouldn't get loose. I guess I'd check up a little bit sooner, and there's so many things that could have affected that. You know what I mean? Obviously, there's some damage to my car. There was excessive rear heat put to the tires down the back straightaway. All those things kind of start stacking up to a car breaking free, and the center was kind of a surprise to me, right? I mean, if it's a mistake, obviously it's a surprise that you didn't see it coming. If I knew it was coming, I would drive the car differently. So, I guess kind of looking back at it, yeah, I would do. Obviously, I'd try not to hit them, right? That would be the goal. Would be to not have that and be able to race back to the line side by side and have some fun. That's the goal every time you get behind someone or beside someone, is just to pass them clean. And when you're on the edge of out of control all the time, it doesn't take much to step over it.
Go next to Bob.
Bob Hockress, ESPN. Are you okay with no penalties for either of you, and no fine for Kyle?
Yeah, of course. I don't see where there should be a fine. I didn't see anything wrong with anything. In my opinion, I don't know. I mean, I didn't see anything wrong.
Okay. So, I know you say you're not looking for fights, but if you get mad enough, is it good that you be like, well, I can take a swing at somebody and one swing and I might be okay?
No, I mean, that's not the way I do things. I feel like we're, as a representative of Shell and Pennzoil and Ford and even more importantly, Roger Penske and the image that he puts out there. I'm responsible when I put on this fire suit, and so I feel like he expects me to be as professional as I can possibly be. Now, that being said, there's a lot of situations that obviously you get heated. There's emotion because it's competition, right? There's plenty of emotion out there in these races constantly. You can watch Radioactive every week on Race Hub. Well, you all seen it, right? It's part of sport. It's part of competition. Emotions flare, and everyone reacts differently. And it's hard to react in the way you want to sometimes when things get heated. But like I said, I get it, and I don't really see where there should be a penalty for that. There was no one punched, no one got hit, so everything was. I don't see where there should be.
Go next to Jeff.
How close did you come to getting punched in the face?
I don't know. You took the video. No. Yeah, I said I got like these ninja moves, man. I just kind of whoop. I slipped.
We'll close it with the ninja Jerry Jordan.
I can assure you I'm not a ninja.
No, you get some ninja moves going.
Hey, Dale Jr. says that's fake news. He says you got hit. What's your response?
What's that?
Dale Jr. says you're portraying fake news that you actually got hit. What's your response to that?
I didn't see him there.
He said.
Did you? I mean, there's a lot going on. I didn't see it, so I didn't see her around me. I didn't see that.
Yeah, he felt like you got hit from watching the video and everything. He feels like you just don't want to own up to it. That's what he said on his podcast.
I don't know. You guys look. Tell me. So I don't know. It sure didn't hurt, so I didn't feel anything.
Well, Joey, on that note, thanks for joining us today. And next time, make sure if you do elbow Kyle Zimmerman, have an ice pack handy.
Poor Kyle. Kyle got the raw end of the deal on this whole thing.
You did a good job.
I know.
Huh? You don't change your race. Just keep going.